Welcome to Inside the Honors College, where we believe that wisdom and virtue is found when we learn together. Join us as we take an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. I'm Ellie Overman.
And I'm Taina Estevez, and this was another person who I haven't gotten to meet in person yet, but getting to meet him for the first time for this specific episode was one of my favorite things. He is so cool, guys. I say that so many times, but I can't say it enough because he really is. He was such a pleasure to talk to, and kind of his conversation around asking and thinking about questions that challenge you and those around you was one of my favorite things for sure. It's so important, us being in community as scholars in community. This is kind of the foundation of a lot of the things we're doing. So him talking about that and highlighting it was very important to me. So thank you, Christian.
Yeah, Christian is a friend of mine, and he really does ask really good questions. And so I just loved hearing that has been an intentional kind of pursuit for him. And I don't know, I love this idea that we have to ask good questions to write good papers. At the beginning of last semester, I was trying to write papers on my own and offer these interpretations. And a lot of the time they weren't a good reading of the text. And so I've really been encouraged by him and by others that we have to learn together, and we have to ask these good questions and bounce ideas off of each other to write well. And so I'm just super, super grateful for Christian and so excited for you guys to get to listen to him. He is so grounded and incredible. So let's get right into it.
Hello, Christian. How are we doing today?
Taina, good to see you. I'm doing pretty well.
Always. I am so excited to speak to you, man. Christian, guys, is one of the coolest people I have met, and I'm so excited for this. So we're going to start it off nice and easy with a question that I think will, be tailored to a little bit of your musical love here. So what has been your favorite score or musical soundtrack of all time so far? It can be from a movie or a TV show, or if you have just a really niche answer, feel free to go explore that. Just what has been your favorite soundtrack?
That is a really good question. I was suspicious that was your question based on your hints.
Of course it was going to be the question, man. I have to
know. Okay, that's hard. I think probably the one that I've listened to the most on its own is the Black Panther soundtrack.
Oh, Christian, you just got 1,000 times more cooler. Oh my God.
I think I love Kendrick Lamar. I need to listen to more of his music, but it's a really cool collaboration. And it stands on its own as an album really well. And also just it's historical significance, also for the African American community, I think is really amazing. And it's really good. I mean, there's some songs on there that I just bump on their own a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that would probably be what I have to go with.
That, after you've said that is the only acceptable answer. To anyone out there who hasn't seen Black Panther, I'm going to need you guys to get on that right now, please, because that was perfect and I love it so much. And I will be watching Black Panther this weekend. Perfect. Well, then getting into the nice bit of this whole podcast here. Christian, could you please tell me a little bit of, your background to honors? How did you hear about it? Kind of why did you decide to take the honors plunge?
Yeah, that's a great question. I found out about honors when I was filling out my application for APU online. I was doing the trustees scholarship application, and I think it kept saying apply for honors. So I was interested in it. I definitely went to the webpage, and oddly enough, as a kid, I wanted to do I wanted to be a classics major. I didn't know what that was really, but I had older siblings that did great books programs in college. So I was always interested in it. But music kind of came up more as a focus. But once I found out I could do both, I was very interested. I was also hesitant to do both because the course load would be a lot with music and honors. But I got to visit campus and connect with Connor Chick and Peter Cooley, who are currently sophomores, also doing music and honors. And they made it clear that it was really viable and really fruitful too. And then of course, Curtis Isozaki was the clincher in getting me to do honors. And I just figured, if it was too much, it'd be better to drop out than not give myself the chance to try it.
Yeah, I love that. Making sure that we're giving ourselves the opportunities to try something, not closing our own doors, right? So glad. the Honors College has definitely been enriched by your presence, man. So thank you for committing. And thank you, Curtis, because just to give him a nice little shout out and plug, that man has done so much for the Honors College, and we all appreciate him. Yeah. So if we're talking about a little bit of your experience here in honors and just how you got here, how have you specifically been challenged? If I'm thinking, two of the things that I feel kind of go with your vibe are maybe like discipleship and just, your scholarly life. How have you grown and just experienced those challenges while you're going through honors? Because there's so much to unpack on potential things there. So what's kind of been the few things that, or one of the most things that have hit on your experience of growth?
Yeah, honors is really a place where I've grown. Even online, I feel like I've been challenged in so many ways. So it's definitely hard to pick. I'd like to pick two. Okay, I'm going to say as a scholar.
Do them both. Give it all.
Okay.
Give it all.
All right, let's go for it. As a scholar, I think growing in like paper writing has been huge. I was a pretty good writer in high school, but I would like always procrastinate because I was overwhelmed by tackling an essay, and I felt like unsure of what I was going to write about. And then I remember in the early last semester, Dr. Glyer gave a Wednesday lecture on the 50-20-30 rule. And so if you don't know, the 50-20-30 rule is you can spend, it basically breaks up the time you spend on writing an essay. And so 50% of your time is spent on pre-writing, 20% on your first draft, and then 30% on revising. In high school, I did 100% on my first draft and would just submit. And it would put pressure on myself to write a perfect draft the first time, and didn't really give myself grace to make mistakes or discover or explore what I was really trying to say. But writing exegetical commentaries and really giving myself the time and space to map out what I want to say and spend time thinking definitely has made my my studying experience a lot better and made me grow a lot as a scholar and a student.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just touching real quick on the procrastination bit that you mentioned there. I remember watching that same lecture that you went over, and the part that I still tell myself to this day when I find myself procrastinating is like, why am I procrastinating? Because she mentioned that a lot of the reason is because you don't understand the assignment. You just don't know what you're going to do. And that's literally all I do. When I haven't completed what I need to finish, it's because I'm like, I don't know what I need to write. So I find when I'm, in that procrastination mode, I go back. What do I need to do? Let's just take it bit by bit. What's the assignment? What do I need to accomplish? What is it? So awesome point bringing that up, because that was something that stuck out with me as well. And then what about on the disciple end of your growth? Because remember you said that was something you were interested in as well.
Yeah. So this also ties in scholarship, I think, but studying the Word of God from a more scholastic approach in colloquy has been really revealing of truth and really exciting also. So this semester in Honors 240, we recently read the Gospels of Luke and John, and this week we read Acts. And getting to experience a diverse perspective with all the different students in colloquy, having them shed light on certain passages that I wouldn't have considered as deeply, and asking questions that really challenged me has been really enlightening, both as to understand what I believe, and also to think of better questions too. I think I'm in a really big discerning stage in my faith, so that's been really, really wonderful.
That's a beautiful tie-in into how the discipleship and scholarship at the Honors College can go, because I think that those questions that we're asking not only ourselves but others are really what stimulate a lot of the good conversations that come out, that real growth that we see. That's so important, especially, even in just communication, which is something that is the foundation of a lot of this own growth. With we're going in community, making sure that we're saying things that, maybe we don't always agree with, but we can use to just push ourselves forward. So I love that emphasis on making sure that we're asking questions, and especially on the self, because if you aren't asking where you want to be, what you've done, where you want to go, just stuff like that can get easily overlooked. Thank you for pointing that out, Christian.
Yeah.
Awesome. You are so cool, man. Cool.
You too,
And just thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Just to spread the coolness around. If we were going to talk to, let's say, prospective students, maybe someone who's deciding whether or not they want to join honors, what's something that you would tell them about, just because I know how much you liked having both of them. We'll say, how would you describe this connection between discipleship and scholarship in their lives and honors? If they're trying to say, if you could grab them, like bring them over, here's what you're going to get as a disciple and scholar from the Honors College. And here's how, your experience has proven that, what would you tell them? Basically sell the pitch to a prospective student.
That's great. Well, I think I'm going to have to bring up a third thing and say,
go for it.
Community is sort of the glue that holds that all together.
Yes,
the community in the Honors College is incredible. And I couldn't have imagined like tackling this year without the community. But I think so asking those questions, asking questions about faith and witnessing people around you, and also just getting to hear their story has been really incredible. Some of the most fruitful and insightful conversations have been outside of the classroom, texting people after class saying, hey, that was a great point. Here's some more thoughts I have on it. Or staying after class to talk with my professors. Everyone is really looking out for you. And it's a community that is focused on pursuing both of those things. Your professors want to help you as a student and a scholar and as a disciple. And it's not a very competitive environment, but everyone is looking out for each other. And helping and hoping to help everyone else grow both in their discipleship and also in their schoolwork.
Absolutely. That's a great point because we can't grow alone, I don't think that, especially if like really competitive environments, like even in those really like, I'm going to try and beat everyone else, there's still this like, you need people. And you can't get better yourself, like others can't get better, your community can't get better without deciding that you're going to move as a group. And I think that's one of the really cool things about honors is having that just understanding that we are here to grow as scholars together, as disciples together, like all of these things we're moving through as a sort of family, not to get cliche there, but as someone who loves community and seeks out those safe spaces. And I love that we're doing stuff like this to show people, like we do have those and this is what they're for, and we're here to mess up. Christian, you are saying so many things that are just resonating with me in my experience with honors. And I love it so much. Thank you so much for just, participating and being willing to be vulnerable and share the space with us and just share the space with others. Thank you for sharing it with me. I will be thinking about this for a while. So really, thank you. Could not thank you enough, Christian.
Thank you so much for having me here, Taina. It was great to talk, and I look forward to the next several years on campus. Hopefully get to see you around.
Anyone who can make a natural Black Panther reference in our conversations is already a great person in my book. So Christian, very solid guy all around, not only for the Black Panther, but also for his just absolutely wonderful insight on just community being that bridge and, tie-in between scholarship and discipleship. I love that so much. I could have talked about it forever. And I think that's such kind of like subtle idea that isn't addressed as much. We're talking about scholarship and discipleship as these kind of two separate spheres of ideas and where people are. But, us as a people coming together in like a group, a community to decide that we're going to grow as learners, but also as people of faith, and going through that in life together. So many beautiful ideas. Loved it so much.
Yeah, I love this idea that like faith traditions each reveal something true about the character of God in this kind of academic space. And so when we bring all of those pieces together and in a colloquy or in a writing setting, we get this beautiful mosaic that is closer to the truth. So I am just so grateful for Christian and for his insight and to get to be a part of this journey that we're all kind of going on together for the next 3 years. So thank you, Christian, and thank you all for taking an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. See you next time on Inside the Honors College.